Welcome to the Binoculars. My channel focuses solely on exposing lies and presenting the truth and standard perspectives to you.
Matt Gaetz is a person of low moral character. This is widely known about him, and I'm kind of bullish he's not going to get through.
Could you nominate someone with allegations of child trafficking across state lines and having sex with a 17-year-old? My understanding.
Sonny, you have a legal note.
I do have a legal note. Thank you, Whoopi.
Matt Gaetz' nomination is clearly triggering every single person on the left, and that includes the women on The View, particularly Sunny Holstiff. I know every single day they seem to find themselves in the news for saying something ridiculous. And this time, it not only was ridiculous, but it required them to read a legal disclaimer live on television. So we're going to take a look at this embarrassment. But first, let's start with what they said about Matt Gaetz.
President-elect Donald Trump absolutely has a constitutional right to nominate him, and the Senate has the role of advising consent. If there is one person they're going to block, I would guess it'd be Matt Gaetz. And I think the way they'll do it is they'll say, let's not make this your problem, Donald Trump. I'm just going to say the votes aren't there. Put someone else up who can get through. I think the most likely scenario would be it's the Deputy Attorney General he's appointed, his criminal defense attorney, Todd Blanche, who, whatever you think of him appointing as criminal defense attorney, he has the qualifications to be there. He's a former federal prosecutor. He worked for the Southern District of New York. But Matt Gaetz is a person of low moral character. This is widely known about him, and I'm kind of bullish he's not going to get through.
Now, everybody has an opinion, okay? We really don't know what's going to happen, but I can tell you what is factual. It is factual that Trump clearly has the advantage, has the leverage to make sure that this happens. He's not backing down. He's made it very clear that he's standing firm on nominating Matt Gaetz. Now, this leads me to the second point. The Republicans are going to have to make a decision. It is either commit political suicide by fighting with Trump when clearly the American people have spoken. The Department of Justice has been weaponized. How bad would it look that there would be Republicans that would reject this nomination when it's in the presidential's right to nominate this person? And three, there's something called recess appointments, which gives President Trump the ability to appoint Matt Gaetz on a temporary basis to lead the Department of Justice. However, Sunny Holstiff is not hearing any of that. Check this out.
Yeah, you know, I think what we really need to think about is the position that he has been nominated for by this president-elect. To be the Attorney General means that you're responsible for the Department of Justice. And the Department of Justice is one of the largest law enforcement agencies in the world. And it's very serious business. I mean, you have the Civil Rights Division, Antitrust Division, the Criminal Division, U.S. Attorney's offices, the FBI. And within the Department of Justice, you know, you have the Sex Crimes Unit, which is what I was a part of, child sex crimes and child trafficking. How could you nominate someone with allegations of child trafficking trafficking across state lines and having sex with a 17-year-old?
Okay, let me make this simple for you guys in case you're getting caught up in the propaganda against Matt Gaetz. And Matt Gaetz was absolutely guilty of sleeping with a 17-year-old and repeatedly did it. Why has he not been prosecuted up to this point? I want you to think about that. Over the past 4 years, they've had enough time, enough investigation to nail this guy. Why haven't they actually done it? Well, here's some examples. Some of the witness statements contradict each other. That's number one. Number two, the actual key witness in this investigation has a criminal past. Okay, so let's just say their credibility isn't all that great. Matt Gaetz alleges that what's happening here is that clearly they're trying to go after him for political reasons. And let's just say this for the technical people in the room. Matt Gaetz has never been formally charged with the things that they are accusing him of doing. Just let that sink in your head for a second. Now, you've got Mayor Eric Adams, who was indicted. You got even the President-elect Trump, who was indicted. Matt Gaetz has never been indicted, which is why what Sunny Holstiff is going to continue to say here will get ABC in trouble. Listen to this.
My understanding further on in the interview, they discussed the fact that once he finds out that she's 17, he stops having sex with her. Well, statutory sex doesn't require you to know what age the person is. It only requires the age. And so if these things are true...
So wait a minute. So if you're having sex with an underage girl,
yes,
she tells you she's 18,
Yes.
and you have it anyway, you're
Yes.
still liable.
Yes, you
Yeah,
you are.
but she's actually still only
it's
17.
statutory
Just to
rape.
clarify.
Yeah.
And so I'm deeply disturbed at the lack of judgment that we are already seeing from the president-elect.
But you're not surprised.
I'm not surprised, but I think a lot of people are. A lot of people said things like, he's just kidding. He would never do something
Well, this is
like
the
that.
best joke of
And
all.
that's
He's kidding.
not true.
I don't know how they get away with speaking this way on TV. I'd get it if it was a personal podcast, independent, something of that nature. But man, they really give these women some freaking latitude, because some of the things they say, you can't help but think, why are they not being sued? They should be in court over defamation, right? And listen, if Matt Gaetz is convicted and it is proven that he is guilty, then we'll talk about it at that point. But he has not been found guilty. He's never been indicted. If anything, this is a lot of speculation, politically motivated. We know what happens. When you challenge the establishment, they come after you. So the question that's in my mind about all this is how much of this is really true versus just being politically motivated? I think that is a fair question to ask. Now, even though Sonny Holston and the rest of the crew are obviously hosts of this show, they don't own ABC. And ABC is very quick, cover its you-know-what, which is why they forced Sonny Holston to read this.
Sonny, you have a legal note.
I do have a legal note. Thank you, Whoopi. Matt Gaetz has long denied all allegations, calling the claims, quote, invented, and saying in a statement to ABC News that this false smear following a 3-year criminal investigation should be viewed with great skepticism. That DOJ investigation was closed with no charges being brought.
Now, what you're witnessing there is the true power of a network, a company, the executives, right? That even though you have these personalities on TV, they don't run the show 110%. They get away with saying some crazy things. But every now and then, the owners of the company will step in and set them straight because they know what that could potentially lead to. Now, we all want to see, obviously, this show go down in flames, and we definitely would love to see these people be sued for defamation, because I don't even think that's the worst thing I've heard out of her mouth. All right, so if you're getting value so far from this video, do us a favor, will you? Like, share, and subscribe to our channel. If you want to support us further, go to the link in the description below, shop the merch store, or buy us a cup of coffee. Now, CNN, who obviously is corrupt to the core, did report on this, and here's what they had to say about Trump's commitment and also catching Trump answering the question about Matt Gaetz.
There's no question that this is someone Donald Trump wants to get through, and I'm told Gaetz is not someone he will sacrifice. He would rather sacrifice some of the other controversial potential nominees that we know Donald Trump has looked at and selected than someone like Matt Gaetz.
Yeah, I'm hearing that as well, that he is all in on Matt Gaetz.
Mr. President, are you reconsidering the nomination of Matt Gaetz?
No.
Don't you just appreciate it when the president actually answers a question? I mean, you say what you want about Trump, but he's not afraid to be very direct, right? All right, so now let's hear somebody who served in the first Trump administration by the name of Russ Vought. He's speaking with Tucker Carlson, and he has some wise words about Matt Gaetz and how people are reacting to this nomination, including the accusations facing Matt Gaetz.
I read in my Bible this morning that you don't believe something unless 2 or 3 people are witnesses and say, and there is none of that. In fact,
that's Mosaic law right there.
In fact, the weaponized Department of Justice said we don't have the proof to pursue these allegations.
I know.
And so then you read in the story.
But they accused him of it.
They accuse it. They make the case. The reporter read it this morning. And then they say it should be known that Matt Gaetz denies that these allegations has occurred. Of course he denies it because they're not true in the Department of Justice. There's no accounting of the fact that these things have been proven not to be true. And yet people, and there's a tendency on our side, and this is very troubling. It's not just the left, which is kind of state regime propaganda. There's a tendency on our side to believe that if there's smoke, there must be fire. Why do we do that? Only because this person has been a confrontational, courageous, convictional leader, in a true generational talent, I might add. So,
what the last point is indisputable. That's just a fact. I mean, Gaetz is the most articulate member of Congress. It's like, no, it's not even close. Right. So they hate him for that because he's a danger.
Okay, so there's really only two sides to this entire issue. Side one is people who truly believe Matt Gaetz has committed a crime and they truly want to investigate him. They have not found any luck and they're not going to give up. And people truly believe in all that nonsense. And so the media is running with it, and that's where we're at. The second scenario is Matt Gaetz is a person who's challenged the establishment every step of the way. He's been a strong supporter, probably one of the number one supporters besides Marjorie Taylor Greene in Congress for Trump. And as a result, the establishment has done everything they can with all resources available to them to obviously destroy Matt Gaetz. So the question is, which side do you put more stock in based on what we've seen over the last 4 years? Obviously, you know where I stand. I'm going with the latter because we see what they did to President Trump, and not just him, but his family, by the way, his business partners. There were people that was scared to even publicly say they were doing business with him because it was reported that FBI agents were showing up at their doorstep. So, yeah, I think I'm going to wait this one out, and I'm going to use what you guys have been doing as a standard to look at. And all that really means is I don't believe anything you guys are saying. You're going to have to show me. Show me the pictures. Show me the videotapes. Let's hear the actual witness on the stand. Let's hear the indictment. You guys don't have any of that. But look how much the legacy media is putting attention on this. Now, for the people in the back, yes, CNN is going to bring on some people, some witnesses, some accusers, okay? That's step 101 on when you're trying to smear someone. Find anyone you can who hates the person and bring them on. Because it all comes down to one main objective here. It's because they don't want to see Matt Gaetz in charge of DOJ, just like they didn't want Trump to become the president. And we see how that worked out. So what do you think about these allegations? What do you think about The View getting owned, having to read this legal disclaimer online? If it was you, would you nominate Matt Gaetz and vote for him to become the next AG? And if so, explain to everyone in the comments section why that is. Meanwhile, on Capitol Hill, you have Congresswoman Nancy Mace, who's introduced a bill to ban men from using women's restrooms. And of course, ABC is trying to go after Nancy Mace for doing this, and she's receiving a lot of backlash. And so if you want to see her go scorch earth on an ABC reporter, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and share this channel with your friends. Stay tuned for more truth and insightful perspectives. Your support helps us grow and reach more people.